Hey guys, Dylan from the Geek Duo here, and today I'll be bringing you My Hero Academia Chapter 306 read-through. Now, before we get started, I just want to say I called it. At the end of the last chapter, we were told that Midoriya would be speaking with the second and third users to learn about them. And I said it wouldn't surprise me if we don't yet learn what their deal is. I did propose that we'd actually jump to the villains or jump ahead in time, but technically I was half correct in that we didn't learn it, and there is another time jump, but not immediately at the start of this chapter. In fact, if anything, this is a jump sideways out of Midoriya's body back to All Might. All Might is thinking to himself, not words, emotions. I can feel them coursing through him. Conversing with the previous holders. One for all's truth. My predecessor's test. He is interrupted by a knock on the door, and as he gets up to open it, he continues thinking, I could only feel it ever so slightly, but I can feel it coursing through me as well. That your quirklessness wasn't a curse, it was a blessing. So, this is just him picking up on the story beats of the last episode. Well, the last chapter, I mean, but yeah, somehow his vestige in the One for All core not only is able to pick up all the information that he processes out in the physical world, but is able to give him snippets of information from inside the vestige world as well. Because Nana's test, One for All's truth about not being able to be passed on anymore, that it was lucky Midoriya was quirkless, all that was all stuff that hadn't even been finished talking about for Midoriya to relay it to him, so somehow he's relaying it to himself. Anyway, he opens the door to Midoriya's hospital room and sees Best Jeanist and Hawk standing there. Hawk says, How are you doing, All Might? They call me the man that's a bit too fast, so I've been going around getting information from everybody. Were you not done watching over Midoriya yet? I could come back at another time. And Best Jeanist thinks to himself, isn't it kind of rude to interrupt this? All Might wipes his eyes and says, No, it's quite alright. He'll be up soon. More than that, what are you here to talk about? As All Might walks down the hallway with Hawks, Uraraka, Ida, and Jiro look into Midoriya's room and seemingly go in there to stay by his bedside, and Hawks continues his questions saying, Well, I was wondering about Midoriya-kun and One for All in particular. Its existence was revealed to some heroes who had joined into the battle towards the end of it. The media's been picking up on it too, and it's been spreading out slowly. And when I asked Endeavor about it, he told me that Shigaraki is going after Midoriya-kun. Whatever he heard, whether he heard all of it or not, I want to make sure this problem is solved before it ends up in tragedy. After all, we're not fighting against just villains anymore. Society is there to fight against us as well. So Hawks is just literally laying it out on the line saying, what the fuck is this? Why does Shigaraki want it? Tell me, that way I can help spin this in a way that will satisfy the press without getting this secret revealed to everyone, like what he was trying to do with Endeavor. All Might remembers what he said to Midoriya the night that he tried to tell Bakugo about One for All. This secret was kept to present. This secret was kept to present. Why did I say prevent? This secret was kept to prevent mass panic across society. I hope you understand that this is for you as well. Got it? We're not at that point anymore. They haven't given up on themselves either. This isn't the place to talk about something like this. That last bit was said out loud, and he turns to look at the other two heroes saying, I will tell you everything. We then jump across again to UA High, specifically the principal's office. Now, Nezu's not as big a recurring character as, well, the ones I've actually given voices to, so I'm just going to give him a normal voice saying, yep, I'll send in a request for government assistance as well. It's a request from OB after all. I'll sort it out immediately. Now, I don't know who or what OB is, whether it's a code name for a hero or or a collection of people that are giving Nezu orders, but someone has contacted him to do something, likely what we find out in this next part of the chapter, but we don't know if that's for certain. 3 days have passed, and the panic hasn't stopped. More than that, it's spreading like an infection, but not everyone is looking for someone to blame. Show some integrity. Promise you won't make any more mistakes. We're worried. Assure us that we'll be safe. We're all barely hanging on by a thread here, was what they were thinking. We see Endeavor, Hawks, and Best Jeanist standing in front of a collection of media representatives. And before we get started, let me just say, Best Jeanist looks ridiculous with a suit. Like, he's got the normal suit from the collar down, but he's got almost a foot of just neck. So all those hand drawings with him having a massive neck that were derived when we first saw him in his hero costume, yeah, it turns out they're pretty accurate. We don't see the neck, but his head's like a foot off his shoulder. Obviously I'm exaggerating, but yeah, he's got a ridiculously long neck. Anyway, Endeavor says, it's the truth. There is nothing I can say that will mask that. Endeavor spoke about his and his family's past in complete detail. We then get a collection of civilians reacting to this news. Well, that family is done for now, aren't they? What a terrible story. He was supposed to be on our side. Please tell us you're lying. Tell us you're lying. And then the reporters rush forward with their questions saying, you say that's the truth? But the allegations against Hawks and Best Jeanist weren't. Mr. Jeanist faked his death so that I could infiltrate the League of Villains as a spy, though the rest of the allegations cannot be debunked. My father's criminal history, and the death of the villain who tried to escape. For hiding my connection with my father, I deeply apologize. Now, I don't know why Hawks needs to apologize for what his father did. Like, sure, he got dealt a bad hand with having a criminal as his father. He never helped his father, and when his father was grabbed by Endeavor, he joined the Hero Commission to help his mom and to help other people. So it seems that he's got nothing to apologize for in terms of his actions as a result of his father's villainy either. Anyway, he continues with, as for the death of Bubagawara, as for the death of Twice, there was no other course of action I felt was appropriate at that moment. His duplication quirk, if left unchecked, would have caused far more harm to society now than anyone else. I wasn't able to avoid violence. Once again, I deeply apologize. Now, again, with what he's laid out, there was literally no other way to stop Twice. The only way to stop him from duplicating something was to kill him. Like, you can bind him, you can, like, sever limbs, you can do whatever you want. You can knock him out. That's only a temporary fix. And then, once he wakes up, suddenly you've got an army of Twices springing out of him. Like, there was literally no way to apprehend him. Because Hawks, and no one in the mansion had any quirk suppressant cuffs or anything, so... Anyway, a female reporter raises her hand to speak and says, "Will it be okay? During Gigantamaki's rampage, my mother was severely injured. Just saying everything was true, we're deeply sorry, isn't going to fix anything. Do you realize just how many people have lost their homes and lives this past week? What right do you have to be carefully sidestepping it like this? The rampage was done by a villain. That's for sure. However, based on your faces, it doesn't look like that. You recognize that it's due to your mistakes that this thing ended up like this." "Would it make up for what I've done if I were crying in front of you instead?" "Excuse me? Of course it wouldn't. I'm telling you to ease the panic. Get rid of the villains. That is... That's right. That is the only way. It's the only way someone like Endeavor can make up for it. However, we must also discuss the fact that with heroes resigning by the number, protecting society at large is only becoming harder and harder. We hereby announce a ploy to prioritize the protection of certain civilians." "Excuse me? What are you saying?" "After deliberation with the government, starting today, UA High will serve as a sanctuary, a designated shelter for those connected to the students in the hero course. With its large estate and unrivaled security, this decision seems the most viable. The parents of those in the school have already begun moving." As Bestinist is laying out this plan, not a bad plan in my opinion, because, yeah, the family of heroes is always the ones that are targeted, so move them to one of the most securely secure facilities in Japan, not a bad move. Anyway, as he's saying this, we do get a shot of Inko and Mitsuki looking at each other worriedly, like as they're pushing a dolly of boxes and all that. But they're the only parents we actually see. Though, maybe in future chapters, like the next couple, we do get the kids reuniting with their parents. I mean, of course, they'd already have reunited in the last 5 days, but you get what I mean. In a time of uncertainty such as this, you think that a shelter like that would provide any amount of security? This measure is in place specifically because we are at a time of uncertainty. All your worries, your hatred, please direct them directly at me. From here on out, this is not the lives of other heroes you should concern yourself with. Endeavor ignites his face in his hero mask area and says, I request that you just watch me. The number of heroes has decreased significantly. From that day on, if a person was holding out for a hero, there would be none to answer that call. Despite this, there are still those who stand up to the fight. Wasn't that enough torment, Dad? Now, as this piece of narration is being on, we see 5 heroes. We see Wash with a bit of wear and tear on his suit. We see, I'm pretty sure this is Mount Lady holding a tattered version of her eyepiece. Is it? Hang on. I had to double check that that was actually Mount Lady's eyepiece. It looks to be, but honestly, it could just be one of the other numerous heroes who have just a eyepiece. We see Miyako wrapping some kind of belt or something around the metal. I don't even know what this is actually called. The thing they put on the end of an amputated limb, like to attach the prosthetics to and everything. I don't know what that's called, but she's wrapping a belt around the top of it. We see Aizawa with his new eye patch, meaning he did lose an eye to Shigaraki, not surprising. And it is the right eye, the same eye that was damaged in the USJ attack. And I don't actually know who this 5th person is, because initially I thought it was Midoriya because of the hair shape and is covered in bandages, but those bandages actually look to be more wood grain, which would mean it would be Kamui Woods. And, well, we've never actually seen him without his full visor. So, is he just a normal dude under that, or? To be fair, the head does look leafy as well, so maybe he does just wear a helmet. Who knows? Also, that wasn't that enough torment was obviously from Darby. When asked about it. When asked about One for All by the reporters, Endeavour answered plainly with an I don't know. So that Deku and All Might wouldn't be pestered further by the media. Big news, everyone! Midoriya left me a letter at the door. You too? What the hell is this? We've jumped to UA, specifically the 1A dormitory, with Uraraka narrating. And Mineta, he's running out of his room to meet with Kaminari, Kirishima, Shoji, Tsuyu, and Uraraka in the common area. And it seems that everyone in the class has been left a note by Midoriya. We get to see what Uraraka says. It says, "Dear Uraraka, thank you for everything. I don't feel like I should be keeping a secret from everyone in Class 1A, so I'm leaving a letter. My quirk is a power that All Might passed on to me. It's a special power. Shigaraki and All For One are trying to go after me to seize it. Before that happens, I must leave. When for all, he's being targeted by a villain. Midoriya, what's going on? If a hero is a figure that doesn't falter in any situation, no matter how dire, what do you call someone as dire as you?" She holds the letter to her head and says, "Dummy?" Obviously, she's speaking to Midoriya, calling him it's affectionate and sad, the tone that I'm getting from this panel. Like when someone does something noble and self-sacrificing, and the person who cares for them a lot and hasn't told them is just like, "You're an idiot," in an affectionate way. But yeah, that's the tone I'm getting from that panel. Could be completely wrong, but... April. Deku-kun leaves his Hero Academia. So, the chapter ends with the reveal that Midoriya has left UA. Now, I don't know what could have spurred him on for this. It very likely is the mindset that if these big villains are coming after me, I'm going to distance myself away from everyone, especially those who are close to me, to protect them. Now, we don't see the status of everyone in 1A. We know that all of them have been discharged from the hospital, if Midoriya has. So we can assume that most of them, especially the ones that had been discharged before Midoriya even woke up, they'd be at their rooms, likely mingling with their parents and the other kids. We don't know the status of Bakugo, because, well, he was the only one that was still in hospital before Midoriya was awoken. We don't know how quickly he'd been able to heal from the wounds he still had, but yeah, it seems like him, Todoroki, all the other 1A, 1B kids would be at UA, so Midoriya is trying to distance himself to protect them. We do also get a look at Midoriya. He's standing in a very Batman-like stance, that being on the adorning figure that would be a gargoyle if it was Batman, that's on the side of a building, just staring over the city. And his boots, well, not boots, again, not sure what to call these, but they're the bits that between his boots and where it meets the rest of his jumpsuit, the black part that's normally there with the knee pads, that's all tattered to shit. He's got a cape now, or at least a scarf, sort of like Gran Torino's, but that's also tattered, and his bunny hood is tattered. And it seems as though he actually uses his bunny hood, because as he looks out over the city and sees buildings topple from a villain attack, he's drawing it over his head. And he looks dead inside. Like, I can't do justice describing it. It's just, there's nothing, none of the boy that we met 300 chapters ago, he's just devoid of anything. And I know it's already been pointed out in the spoilers and whatever videos that come out before mine that he seems to be taking inspiration from Stain in his outfit. And, well, yeah, let me just zoom in on this image, because I'm pretty sure that is, yeah, he's, I can't tell if that's actually a knife like Aizawa or it's part of his backpack, but if it is a knife, then that could again either be drawing inspiration from his teacher or from Stain. Because we know Stain respects him. We know Stain respects All Might. Midoriya and All Might would probably be travelling together wherever they are. Because I doubt All Might would have let Midoriya leave on his own, and I doubt he'd stay at UA either. But is it possible that Stain and Midoriya have teamed up? Another point of note is it looks like he's got bindings around his arm, like support bindings almost. Because we know that his arms should be blown to smithereens by now. He shouldn't have any use in them after what the doctor said all the way back when. But somehow he still seems to have movement in them. He'll probably still be able to use his powers in them. So he must have some sort of support bracings on his arms, since his jumpsuit is torn off at the shoulders as well. I know I'm focusing a lot on he's even got new shoes. What the these look like a modified version of the Hatsume shoes, but they definitely don't match his red ones. I know I'm focusing on the outfit a lot, but it is very concerning the way he looks. He looks a lot like some of the depictions of villain Deku that we've seen. Well, at least I've seen. Obviously that's not the arc they're going on, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's a darker Deku from now on. One that blames himself for everything that happened in that war. But, yeah. I don't really know how to close this off. I hadn't analysed this image too much, or really much of the chapter before recording this. But yeah. So if you guys noticed anything in this chapter that I didn't point out, if you noticed anything in what I did point out that I was wrong about, or you want to talk about the possibilities of what Midoriya might do in the next couple chapters, comment them down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.